Hey, Freaky Friday, Sportsbit betting insight today, Friday, September 14th. Pauly and Teddy, I'm at Real Sportsbit. He's at Teddy underscore covers NFL time, baby. Rapid fire, big game breakdown coming up. Play of the day before we get out of here. We've been crushing it for 3 weeks. All the betting news you need to know in less than 20 minutes. Sportsbit, betting insight today, SBRpicks.com. And let me give him a pop off the top. Huh? Why not? The prick, beat the prick. 5 picks. Got to have them in by 5 o'clock Eastern on Tuesdays. 5 plays a week to be eligible. 70 total plays. 14 weeks of the contest. 50,000 in prizes. So beat the prick to win the prizes. And the top 5 are 10 grand, 4 grand, 2 grand, 1,500, and 1,400 as well. Prizes paid out in Bitcoin. All right, before we get to the games, recap last night. For whatever reason, the Bengals have the Ravens number. I love when they put that graphic up, the two coaches side by side. They've been there forever. But Harbaugh has 10 playoff wins and Marvin Lewis has 0. But the Bengals have beat the Ravens 8 of the last 10, and they had a 28-7 lead. It got hairy there in the fourth quarter. It was cut to 5, a couple field goals late. Cincinnati and over. So far, so good with the offense. And 2-0 for the Bengals.
Yeah, that was a very good result for the house last night. The majority of money came in on Baltimore. The Ravens were certainly the public side last night, and the Sharps didn't really get involved with a big play on either side. So the books were rooting for Cincinnati. They got Cincinnati, and as you mentioned, a little bit dicey in the fourth quarter, but pretty much a wire-to-wire cash for the Bengals. And remember, Marvin Lewis barely held on to his job this past offseason. There was a big question in December whether Cincy was going to come back. And the Bengals, out of it in December, played tough down the stretch. They won a couple of games. Their defense was on it. Lewis kept his job as the team kept their effort together. And frankly, with the 2-0 start, Marvin Lewis has done good things with Cincinnati. People still forget what that program, what that franchise was like before he got there. They were the worst franchise in the NFL. They made the Browns look good. See Cincinnati go 2-0 last night. Again, good result for the house and impressive start to the season for A.J. Green and that Bengals offense.
You also had the Sam Weiss years, too, when they went to a Super Bowl, would make the playoffs every year. I don't want to crow about a guy who's 0-7 in the playoffs. Bad beats, Marlins, game 1 of a doubleheader, plus 160. Third day in a row it's happened. 3-2, bottom of the 9th. Back-to-back home runs, a walk-off for the Todd father. Mets win 4-3. As they get the win, they sweep the doubleheader. Mariners, Angels under 9. 3 runs in the 9th inning. It goes over 8-2 final there. 2 bad beats if you were involved there. And 1 bad bet. Well, listen, you got a team that had 104 losses, but the A's finally lost 170 up to 190. They go down, lost 5-3. They go to Tampa tonight. They are now 55-22. Since June 16th. Madness.
And the question with Oakland, and we've been saying this for like a month now, is how long is this going to go on? How long can this go on? Can you make money with the A's down the stretch? First couple of weeks of September, you were still able to make money with Oakland despite this ridiculous hot streak that showed signs of ending last night, but certainly hasn't showed signs of ending in any real way. A's up to 190. I'm not convinced Oakland's going to be profitable the final couple of weeks of the season. I'm going to have to pick and choose my spots if I want to ride the A's down the stretch.
Bad for the books. This was an entertaining game, pushed up to 2:30 Pacific. Boston College and over. Did we have Boston College play of the day? I can't remember. 4 up to 6.5. And once they pounded the under early because they thought with the hurricane, but the weather turned out to be not a problem. It steamed it up to 59. Right sides, both 41-34. I like this team a lot. They got to fix the defense. They couldn't stop the run. But Brown was terrific, the quarterback. They have the Heisman candidate, Dillon. They were selling out to stop the run. He still went for 180 yards on him. Tough schedule coming up. But 3-0 for Boston College. They get the road win.
Yeah, and again, not a good result for the house at all. BC bet up 4 to 6.5. There were even, I didn't see a lot of 7s, but there were a handful of 7s for a time. And, of course, you took the +7, you got the push. And, of course, that total getting steamed up as well. Significant move on the over in that ball game. So side and total go in favor of the bettors. Not a good result for the bookies.
And a bloodbath. Utah State from 44 up to 47. They beat Tennessee Tech 73-12. Mercy. All right, your take, pros and Joes. What do you see week 2 NFL?
Sure. And again, this is early. We're talking on Friday, but we did this last year and people really enjoyed this segment. We're going to try to do it again every week this year, although I missed it week one. What we're seeing in early week betting action, pros, clearly money on the Atlanta Falcons. That is a sharp side this week. The San Francisco 49ers have taken money as well. And the New York football Giants, the pros not trusting Dallas to cover as home chalk. When it comes to the public sides this week, the Joes, well, they like the Texans last week. They're right back on the Texans this week as they travel to Tennessee. Who's the worst team in the NFL? The Bills are. Who's the public betting against? The worst team in the NFL. That means the Chargers are on the public's must-bet list this week. San Francisco, the 49ers, both the pros and the Joes seem to like San Fran. Of course, they saw Detroit. The public saw Detroit get lit up on Monday night. The Eagles and the Chiefs, a popular underdog, a rare popular underdog amongst the Joes. Historically, the underdogs that the Joes tend to like don't fare particularly well. Philly and KC to go along with San Fran, LA Chargers, and the Houston Texans. Those are the most popular public sides going into Sunday.
All right, big game breakdown. We'll start with Carolina and Atlanta. Atlanta 5.5, 44.5 the total. I like it under. Why? 9 of the last 10 meetings between these two teams have gone under. Could be a replay of what happened in Week 17 when Atlanta won 22-10. Matt Ryan 9-1 straight up in ATS in home openers. So what has gone on here? Is it Matt Ryan just being the Matt Ryan we all know and love, which just pretty much average numbers? That fluke when they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Shanahan. But what happened last year? And what happened in Week 1? Does Philly just have his number? 2 years ago, 16-3 to the over. Since Sark became the OC, 14-5 to the under, and a bad performance to start the Thursday night game against Philly. Now with Carolina, they got some key guys out. Williams is out, Khalil's out, Olsen's out. Kuechly left the win against Dallas in Week 1. I wasn't impressed with their offense. I was expecting big things from Norv Turner, and he was hoping to fix Cam Newton as his numbers have been average the last couple of years and getting back into an MVP form. But I think a lot of reasons to go under here as well. But look at you also have Neal and Jones out for Atlanta too, Teddy. So a lot of injuries here and very disappointed. Although they won the game, Carolina struggled on offense, and I don't know what to make. It's only one game, but I don't know what to make of the Dallas defense yet either.
Yeah, I mean, look, when we talk about Carolina coming into this game, there are a number of issues that the Panthers are facing. Let's start with the travel spot. Obviously, we have pretty significant weather issues in the Carolinas right now. The plan for the Panthers was to leave late to get to Atlanta, not early. They're leaving late, which the betting markets don't particularly care for very much. And of course, you talk about the injuries and some of the key guys. For my mind, it's all about the offensive line right now. You know, you had Matt Khalil and Jeremiah Siles on IR coming into the campaign. You have Trey Turner with a concussion. He's a question mark. Darrell Williams goes on IR. That's 4 key guys from the offensive line. You know, Christian McCaffrey is supposed to be the go-to offensive player for Carolina other than Cam Newton. And frankly, you know, McCaffrey wasn't able to do a whole lot against the Cowboys in the opener. Cam Newton was under constant pressure in that ballgame. He didn't complete a single pass of 20 yards or longer. It was nothing but dink and dunk. You know, Carolina's defense was solid in that game, but the Cowboys lack playmakers. We'll talk about that a little bit later. The Falcons don't. But the question for Atlanta, Pauly, you're absolutely right. Can the Falcons score touchdowns against good defenses? Because you know what? We haven't seen a lot from this Atlanta offense against the better defensive squads that they face. We certainly saw the red zone execution or lack thereof against Philadelphia. And this Panthers defense, even without Thomas Davis, even if Kuechly doesn't play, is still a top-notch unit. Now, Dan Quinn has owned Ron Rivera. The Panthers have won 4 of the last 5 meetings between these two squads. All of those wins came by a TD. The Falcons have won 4 of the last 5 meetings. All those wins coming by a TD or more. 3 of them by double-digit margins. Carolina's only win during that entire span was just a tight 3-point non-spread covering victory. That was more about Matt Ryan's interceptions than any other factor. Also worth noting, Atlanta with a little bit of extra time to prepare and no travel. Remember, they played Thursday night, whereas Carolina played on Sunday.
All right, we're up against it because we tape early Friday morning. Check the status of Freeman. He got banged up in the Philly game, only had 6 carries. See if he can go. And again, Atlanta's been an under machine here since Sark became the OC. And also the defense has turned it around as they've allowed 16 points per game in their last 8. And we like the under against Philly. Minnesota and Green Bay quickly. We don't know Rodgers' status. Makes a big difference. I guess it's 7.5. If he doesn't play, maybe they're laying 2 if he does. McCarthy said it looking better than it was yesterday. We'll see if he practices. But your thoughts on this game with no line, Minnesota and Green Bay from Lambeau?
Yeah, I just wanted to bring it up because we were going to talk about the game, but we have no line. And you know what happens when you have no line? You don't worry about the game. You don't waste time handicapping. You don't waste time thinking about it. You move on to something else. We may not see a proper line on this game until Sunday morning. And if you want to get involved, knock yourself out. But from a contest standpoint, from a game analysis standpoint, very difficult handicap. That's the beauty of football. We have all these games to choose from. The odds makers have to put lines up for everything, although they don't have to put them up, if they don't know who the QB is going to play. But by Sunday, there will be. But as a bettor, you get to pick and choose. Vikings, Packers, interesting game to consider. But you don't know whether Aaron Rodgers is going to play. You don't know if he's going to be right. You simply cannot bet the game. It's a clear pass for us.
Last 7 meetings between these two teams, 6 of the 7 have gone under. Another good game, Steelers and Chiefs. Steelers 4.5, 53 the total. They're going crazy with the over in this game. Big Ben missed practice on Thursday. If he can't go, it'll be Dobbs. And the Steelers have won 7 of the last 8 against the Chiefs. Took them out in the playoffs on the road. Remember that Sunday night beatdown a couple years ago as well. But it's Mahomes now, who was great in the win. Found Hill over and over and over again as they beat the Chargers on the road. Some special teams, great special teams play as well. Chargers also fumbled inside their 10 and helped out with some key drops in that one. And we'll see the Steelers now. Are they going to get up to Schneid here after the tie? They didn't play well. They were pathetic against the Browns with all those turnovers. So a lot to clean up, and we'll see if they can slow down Mahomes here.
Yeah, I mean, this Big Ben injury is worth noting because the markets haven't reacted to it all. Everyone seems to be, oh, yeah, Roethlisberger will be fine. He'll play. You read his quotes. We don't know that. He missed practice Wednesday. He missed practice Thursday. He said, I'll try. We'll see. But he wasn't like, yeah, I'm feeling fine. We'll get in there. I'm concerned about Big Ben. And also, let's not forget key injury. David DeCastro got hurt last week. He's a question mark this week on the offensive line. And, of course, Joe Hayden in the secondary, who left the game against Cleveland. He a question mark with a hamstring injury for the Steelers. And, we have to ask ourselves with Pittsburgh right now, is this team a paper tiger, or are they legitimately one of the top 2 teams in the AFC? We'll find out on Sunday, because what we saw on last week was a team that was -5 in turnovers, that was leading by 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. That's a positive sign. Defense played well for most of the game. That's a positive sign. The turnover is something they should be able to fix. That's a positive sign from a sign. And from a defensive standpoint, there's a little bit more to like about Pittsburgh than there is to like about Kansas City, especially with Eric Berry being ruled out for Sunday. But, I'm not convinced that this Chiefs team is notably weak defensively. I know they were number 29 last year in defense. I know that they jettisoned veterans in the offseason. A lot of times that'll end up making the defense a little bit better. Now, when you get rid of some of the high-priced veterans who aren't contributing like they should be, you look at week 1, boy, the box score numbers are ugly for KC, but they spent most of the game with a 2-score lead, and they let LA dink and dunk around them. And I think that KC has a better defensive showing in them if they need it. And it's surely worth noting, there's only 2 coaches in the NFL that have a better than 500 straight-up record as road underdogs in recent years. One of them, his name is Belichick. The other guy, for Kansas City, Andy Reid, better than 500 straight up as a road dog in the Reid era in KC.
All right. Late game. Patriots won 45.5 at Jacksonville. We don't know where the points are coming from in this one either. Fowler's back from suspension. Jacksonville had the big road win against the Giants, and the Patriots beat the Texans. You're going to have Ramsey running his mouth, who said Gronk's overrated and not that good. Okay, so he'll be on Gronk and also try to slow down Hogan. I don't see Dorsett having 6 catches again as they wait for Edelman to come back. Rematch of the AFC Championship game. Who hurt Jacksonville in the AFC Championship game? Cooks getting deep, drawing some PI calls. And also Amendola had some big catches, especially that big third and long. Cooks is gone, and so is Amendola. And I don't know who's going to run the ball for New England. They're going to try. You got Burkhead with the concussion. We'll see what they do with the running game as well. Brady, 8-0 lifetime against Jacksonville. And Gronk had 120 yards and a touchdown in the win against the Texans. Check the status of Fournette as well. I think he says he'll try to give it a go, and he'll play. For what it's worth, the Patriots signed Fowler and Coleman, some wide receivers to help out as well. Interesting game, fascinating matchup. Although the Patriots have been an ATS machine here the last couple of years. 2 years ago when they won the Super Bowl, 16-3 against the spread. They're on a great ATS run, and you've been making a ton of cash if you've been betting the Patriots when laying less than a touchdown, and that was the case last week against the Texans.
Yeah, I mean, all they do is cover, Pauly.
Yep.
It's the gift that keeps on giving if you're riding New England. 25-8 against the spread in the regular season over the last 3 years, or 2 years in a game. That's 28-5 straight up in those contests. This is a game where the straight up winner likely to be the point spread winner, unless the Patriots win by exactly one. But it's worth noting when New England does lose, they tend to lose in September, earlier in the season. They tend to lose some of these rough or road games, particularly in hot, humid environments. This is not necessarily a great situation for New England with playoff revenge from the Jaguars. And boy, you read some of the Jacksonville quotes, they've got this game triple circled. Doug Marrone. This is following the playoff loss to New England. Probably the more I think about it, the more it'll hurt and the more it'll weigh on my mind. Everyone in that room right now, everyone in that locker room is thinking, what could we have done a better job of to win the game? Outside of, God forbid, somebody passing away that you feel close to, this is probably as close a pain that you'll have. This is the pain that you deal with when you lose football games. It's something we got to deal with, and it hurts, and it stays with us a long time. The Jags have this game triple, quadruple circled. And, for all that Gronk did last week, let's not forget, you throw a challenge flag, and maybe he doesn't have quite the game that he did. And you talk about Leonard Fournette. No Fournette, no problem last week. TJ Yeldon stepped up for the Jags against the Giants. I'm not worried at all if Fournette doesn't play for Jacksonville. Running backs are interchangeable when it comes to betting.
And one more, Sunday night, Cowboys 3-42.5 at home against the Giants. Eli, 12-3 ATS off a loss when facing a division opponent. 8-2 ATS Sunday night against a division opponent with revenge. And remember, this monstrosity that Jerry has built, no home field advantage, corporate spectacle for the rich and connected. The average fan is priced out. Garrett, 23-38-1 ATS at home. Giants didn't do much on offense other than the Barkley long touchdown run, but the Cowboys didn't do anything either. And you got Des Bryant hanging out with Jerry Jones at a Beyonce concert. They're trying to get excited there. 9 of the last 10 games between these teams have been decided by less than a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean, Giants in double revenge. They lost 19-3 and 30-10 to Dallas last year. They were both very ugly losses. And, of course, they failed to cover the spread again in week one. This is a 3-13 team that lost week one at home to Jacksonville. That was a missed 2-point conversion. They lost their last chance for a comeback on a muff punt at the end of the ballgame. It was still the Giants making mistakes. Eli Manning with the pick six, the difference maker in that contest. But you talk about Dallas and the repeated long-term failures for Garrett at home. What'd you say, 23-38? I've got him 8-15 against the spread as home chalk the last 4 years. And Dallas has no playmakers. The Giants still have OBJ. The Giants have Barkley. Dallas finished that game against Carolina without a single play from scrimmage of longer than 20 yards. When Cole Beasley is your number one receiver, he's a great guy in the slot at the number 3. When you have him number 2, maybe. When you have him as your number 1 guy, might be a long year in Dallas. I have no interest in the Cowboys as chalk in this game.
All right, very good. Money time, play of the day, red hot for 3 weeks. Let's keep it going. Betting number 287, G-Men +3. All the reasons we just talked about. Here's another doozy. Dallas 1-13-1 ATS at home after a conference loss. You know what happened last week? And it's going to be a long year for the Cowboys. We'll take the Giants +3. I think they win the game. That'll do it. We'll recap everything on Monday. We'll start with the NFL. Thanks for watching. Tell your friends. Sportsbet, Betting Insight today. Pauly and Teddy. I'm at Real Sportsbet. He's at Teddy_covers, SBR Picks. Thanks to the crew. Have a good weekend. Low Shack in the Bay coming up next.